Welcome. So we don't know what this is called. We don't know what this is. It's I embark from obscure mics and whatever other productions you want to, watch or whatever, a bunch of half-ass productions, and hanging out with me to talk about not only father things for our pal Bronson, but also just 40-year-old shit amongst creatives. I guess you could say the premise of this is guys that met through YouTube and became buddies and then started bitching about their lives, and this is the result of that.
Amen.
Who are you, Anthony Screen? Because right now I just see that you're Anthony Screen. It's a pretty cool name. It's like a Marvel name, Anthony Screen.
Yeah. Pags. I have MEI Studios channel on YouTube, and as you said, we met through YouTube. I think the first time we kind of had a chat was your creator connection thing, and
that probably was, wasn't it?
Kind of chatting since then, and sending each other stuff in the mail and all sorts of crazy stuff. So yeah. Oh, nice.
Said stuff from the mail.
It's funny. I don't have one of those.
You should probably make yourself one.
Yeah, one day.
Do you still mess with that laser?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just know how, especially, at least in my 40-some-year-old experience, like I buy things, I get excited, and then I forget about them.
Yeah.
I'll use them a couple times. Like, if I bought a 3D printer, I would print out like 4 things, and then it would sit and gather dust for the longest time.
Man, my 3D printer is been working overtime the last few days. So,
what are you making?
A buddy of mine and I are working on on an invention, I guess you could say. He's a professional drummer, and we were talking about problems that we have in the studio with the drums and live. Actually, he was talking about issues. So we just started thinking like, all right, well, how can we fix the problem? So we designed a product that just kind of like fixed the problem. So now we're trying to figure out if we can get a patent for it, which would be cool as shit. But look out. And if that happens, then try to find a way to manufacture the stuff and maybe get it out there, make a couple bucks,
Yeah.
The hustle.
My pal Al Miner, who watches my channel, he just mailed me some 3D printed, almost like SM7B XLR cable / So he just mailed me these. I don't know exactly what I'm going to use them on. He told me what they typically fit, and I forgot because life is so damn messy. But I have to reread his email and figure out what the hell he sent me that I said, hell yeah, that'd be cool. Like, for all I know, it's like, penis enlargement device. I don't know.
It holds the butt plug to the taint.
Yeah, that's actually a real problem. Not for me, but like those things come out real easy, And for those of you who are thinking like, oh, you guys are sick, like, yeah, you're obviously not in your 40s yet because, you have to start stretching the spectrum of what is possible. Not simple stuff as exciting as it was in your 20s. You gotta really amp up the volume a little bit. Yeah. And then you're like, wow, I never imagined I'd be doing these things. And here I am. Yeah. That happens.
Amazing choice of words too. Yes.
Come on, man. Yeah. You gotta be real with yourself.
Phenomenal.
It's, yeah. But yeah, so we were talking about our buddy Bronson from the Audio Hotline podcast or Audio Hotline channel, Obscure Hotline podcast. What I was thinking, which I don't think we'll be doing any of those anytime soon.
I'm sure he's got his hands full, and
I talked to him a little today,
wrist deep in poop.
Yeah, and then he told me today that it's cool that it's distracting him from the BS of our current world situation.
Yeah.
So that's one thing, but yeah, we thought, Pags had the idea. Let's do a little dad podcast for Bronson and just talk about shit that really grinds our gears and all that good stuff. And not just that, but like, just this whole pushing middle age thing. Are we middle age yet? Is like,
yeah. I mean, I don't know if that bar has been raised since our parents' era. Cause I remember like when I was a kid, like hitting 40 was like this, oh my God, over the hill thing. There was black balloons and like all sorts of crazy shit for that.
Lordy, look who's 40.
Yeah.
That bullshit.
Man, yeah. And I don't know, like I definitely feel like people today, especially hitting 40s, we definitely look better than our parents did when they hit that age.
Yeah, you see the pictures of like athletes in their like early 30s or late 20s even, and you're like, holy shit. Like,
what happened?
Like you got a 29-year-old like NFL quarterback and he looks like Red Foreman currently looks,
haggard.
Yes, haggard and just aged the fuck out.
Spent.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes, especially when I do outdoor mics and that sun hits my head, I'm like, dude, like, I've got the light on it now, so it's definitely salt and pepper. But when it's not so light, like it looks mostly brown. And then when I go out in the sunlight, it looks mostly gray. And it's like, dude, this is, and I don't mind now, but it was an adjustment for a while. It was like, cause it happened. Like, dude, when I was like late 30s, people thought I was 29 or 30. And then all of a sudden, when I hit 40, people are like, motherfucker's in his 40s. Like, clearly.
Man, it happened to me like overnight. Like,
me too.
Like I started getting a little bit like here and there after my first kid. I had my second kid when I turned 40. In fact, he was born like 2 weeks to the day before my 40th birthday. And it was like overnight, all of a sudden it was just, the beard is completely gray. What happened?
Yeah.
Like the hair just white. Like what happened? Like the sides just gone. Like, whoa, it just snuck up on me.
We literally go from Hail Satan to Santa Claus,
exactly.
That quick. Like, slick black, dark beard to.
Yeah, man, I have pictures of like, us holding the baby in the hospital and everything. And like dark hair and like had that sparkle in my eye and like.
You say it as if the sparkle is gone.
Oh, it's has long been extinguished.
I still had the sparkle in my eye.
Yeah, it was like, I got so much, vim and vigor. I'm ready to go, and fuck that. Now it's just, I want to sleep,
dude. I know, and it's like now it's like if I sleep till 7:30, it's like, God, that I feel like $1 million. Wow. If I sleep till 7:30, which I don't, because normally kids get it. Like, why did we do this? Why did we decide to have like young kids at this age? Because like there's no mercy. It's not like they know how old we are and there's mercy. There's none. I woke up at 4:30 this morning and couldn't go back to sleep because my kid was, in bed with me grinding his teeth and shit. Oh, he grinds his teeth every night like crazy. And
my kid was doing
loud.
that for a while too. And like his room is on the other side of the hall from like, if you picture like a big fat H and like the middle of the H is like this hallway between our two bedrooms. And we didn't have a door in his bedroom when he was little because we weren't having that because he would just wind up locking himself in there and we'd, have to break the door down. So we just left the door off for quite a few years. And I remember like waking up in the middle of the night and just hearing that from across the hallway. And it's just like, whoa, dude, you're going to have no teeth left in about 6 minutes.
I know. I don't know how my kids' teeth are fine, but they are. But it's just like he grinds them so hard they click and clack. Like, and I'm just like, God, man, there's no sleeping when that happens. I can sleep through it if I'm asleep and he crawls in, but like as soon as one knee goes in the kidney and then I hear that, it's like, then I'll just run and go to his bed typically.
We put a hard stop to the sleeping in mommy and daddy's bed a long time ago. And man, we had to enforce it because it was just not good on a whole bunch of different levels.
We did with my 11-year-old, but we have not with our 8-year-old because he's on the spectrum and like, there's just a little more care needed there. And most of the time it's fine, but sometimes it's just hell. sometimes it's days in a row, and I'm like, I'm running on 4 hours of sleep each day.
Yeah.
And that just doesn't do it for me. Like, I know there's people out there that suck down 4 monsters and sleep 4 hours a day every night, but that's not me. I can't do that.
Yeah, I could do that in my 20s. It ain't happening now. I mean, I used to go, 24 hours, no sleep, and,
no problem.
Pull those all-nighters, and, you get a little groggy or whatever, but you have a few hours sleep and you were right back at it. Now it's, man, you miss sleep and
you're fine. Yeah, it's over.
You're not getting it back.
No, it's bad. You're grouchy as hell for a day. You don't want to talk to anybody.
And shit hurts.
Shit hurts, yeah. Shit hurts really bad this week for some reason. It's like week on, week off. It's like some weeks I feel like I'm in my 30s and I pop out of bed and I'm like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And then, today I'm lifting a basket of socks. I'm like, oh God, why? Like, why is my back doing this to me? And,
oh man.
I guess I shouldn't complain too much. I've never had a broken bone. I've never had an injury. I've never really been to the hospital for anything. I'm like basically Bruce Willis from Unbreakable, but I feel like Mr. Glass. That's kind of how that's going.
Yeah. That, you don't know how good you have it till you lose it. And, man, I've never broken down so much when I had my back problems. I had 2 back surgeries. Well, I don't know if you call them back surgeries. One spine surgery, and the other one was like lower back surgery. And boy,
what caused the need for it?
I have no idea. I'm guessing either stage diving incidents from when I was younger, or head banging when I was younger. Or I don't know, but like my lower back. We went on vacation up to Massachusetts, and I was carrying my kid on my shoulders like almost the whole time because he didn't want to walk around, Massachusetts, and I think maybe he was like 3 or 4 at the time. I was probably like 3, I guess. So he's small. He didn't weigh a lot or whatever, but walking around, whatever. And like the last day, I was just like, I woke up and I was like, man, my back hurts. And I remember complaining like, shit, I'm getting old. Like, spend the day, something on my shoulders, and now my back hurts. We drove home, and the whole way home, I was like, damn, my back really hurts. I get home, I laid out on the hardwood floor, and I was just like, all right, I'm going to try and stretch this out. And that didn't happen. And it went from like bad to worse within like weeks.
Ugh.
And, I thought I was having knee problems because my knee was really hurting. My lower back was hurting a little bit, but my knee was really hurting bad. So I went to an orthopedist, and, I said, hey, what's going on? They took a scan. They're like, your knee is fine. There's nothing wrong. And I said, well, I was having back pain, a few weeks ago, and, that got really bad. And they're like, all right, well, let's take a scan of the back. I get the scan back a couple days later, and the orthopedist is like, well, you need back surgery. I'm like, oh, fuck you. I need back surgery. No, I don't.
Great.
And I was like, I'm going to get another opinion on this. So I called my doctor up. I was like, this guy wants to cut me open. The doctor's like, we'll get another opinion. Sends me to this amazing doctor. And he was the coolest dude because he opened up his office on a day that he wasn't there, and like he's like, all right, give me the disc. And he sits me down, and he was the most blunt dude I've ever met. He's like, look, if I don't have to fucking cut you, I'm not going to do it. I don't want to have to do that bullshit. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I like you.
Yeah.
So he pops the disc in the computer. He looks at it, he goes, how old are you? I said, I'm like 37. And he's like, what are you doing on Friday? I said, what? He goes, no, really. What are you doing on Friday? Because you need to take care of this, or this is going to be bad. I couldn't walk. I lost use of my right leg. I had a cane for about 3 weeks. I was in a wheelchair when I went into the hospital because I literally couldn't walk anymore.
Damn.
And so I went in, had the surgery, and like the thing that was running through my mind the whole time was just like, I got a little kid here. And like, I want to be able to run around with them, play with them, do things. And, who wants dad in a wheelchair kind of thing? Like, that's no good. So as much as I really didn't want to get spinal surgery, I was like, all right, this is my only chance to have this happen and work. And I had the surgery, and doctor came to me afterwards. I'm like coming out of like anesthesia and shit. And he's like, I want you to get the fuck out of here as soon as you can. I was like, what? He goes, no, really. He's like, get the hell out of here as soon as you're up and walking. I was like, up and walking? I just have back surgery. He's like, no, literally, I want you up and walking within the next hour. I was like, oh, okay.
But why? Why?
So he said that you get a way higher chance of getting an infection in the hospital, especially with, spinal stuff and everything.
Yeah.
He's like, you're going to fare a lot better. Go home, rest in your own bed. You're going to be way better. So I literally got up like,
I like this dude,
an hour later, and like I was full of morphine and shit. So I was feeling great. Like nothing could hurt me.
Yeah.
But I stood up. I had no pain. Like my leg worked. Like my knee was bending right. Like I could put pressure on it. My leg completely atrophied. So like my legs looked like this. Like this was my right leg. I had a, fat left leg, but it took me a long time to build up the muscle and everything back in. But like, holy shit, I could walk, and like I was amazing. So, but yeah, man. And then, I had another one. They had to put a metal plate in my neck. Same kind of deal. And,
man.
Dude, I was playing.
How much older are you than me?
I'm 40. God, I don't even know how old. I stopped counting. Like that's how bad it is. I'm 46. I'm going to be 47 in May.
So. Okay. So 3 years.
Yeah. But the first surgery I had, I was like, I think it was 37 when I had my first surgery. And then I had the second one just a few years ago. Like actually it was probably a little before I started my channel.
I hope that's it. I hope that's all she wrote on that one. See, my back hurts now just listening to you talking. Like I'm like, oh shit, what's going on?
Oh man,
But I think it's like, I think we get. I mean, this is just a whiny ass fucking podcast. I think we get.
Hey.
I seriously think like we're hurting more often than we know, and we just like I definitely have just learned to block a lot of it out. And just forget about it.
If you don't, you'd never get out of bed. I mean, there's always something that's just like, that feels tight. Or
not like, just terrible all around. It's like there's just always something, like whether I sleep on my shoulder wrong, whether my lower back's a little tender today, whether my left knee feels a little loose,
Mm-hmm.
Right now I don't know what I did, but like I've done something to this thumb, and when I move it, it hurts pretty bad, and I don't know why, but I just keep moving it anyways because I'm like, fuck it, it's either going to work. It's either going to work. You know what? It feels a little better than it did earlier. So
there you go.
I have a bad habit of like cracking my thumbs like that. Probably not a good thing to do, but
no.
Well, whatever. Yeah, old habits die hard.
Yeah. So what's going on with you, man? Like, how you been? How you holding up in these trying times?
I mean, if we're talking mentally, I consider myself to be mentally strong and mentally stable for the most part, but also accepting of the fact that we're all a little fucked up in some way. My fucked up attribute is panicky. Like I had panic attacks as a kid, not often, just like random. And I attribute those to being forced to go to an apostolic church and hear about fire, hell, and brimstone all the time. Pretty sure that gave me panic attacks. Like, I had a lot of apocalyptic dreams growing up. Yeah, man. Oh, fuck church. Just fuck church. Sorry to those of you who are, churchgoers. Good for you. Whatever works for you did not work for me. But I get panicky. Like I get overstimulated. Like on Tuesdays, like, I go to work. My job sucks, like most people's jobs suck. Yeah. But it pays me. So we fucking, we basically are prostitutes to the system. Like use me and abuse me as long as you pay me. Yep. And then I come home from work every Tuesday and I take my kids to our local library for Roblox night. They play Roblox on computers with their friends. They love our library. Our library is fantastic. That's awesome. But just like that, Tuesdays especially, and any day like Tuesday where I'm like, get up at 6:30, get the kids ready with my wife. We're a team. I take one kid to school. She takes the other because one's in middle school, one's in grade school, and their entry times are an hour apart, basically. Mm-hmm. But by the time I do that and get to work, and then I don't come home. I drive back to my hometown, which is 30 minutes away from work, then I'm an additional 20 from home, or my home from my hometown. But like do the library thing, that's an hour, and driving home at 7, get home at 7:30, and it never fails. 7:30, I walk through the door, and I'm just like this, like, I'm just overly stimulated and amped, but not in a good way. I'm like, where's the weed? I need something to calm my ass down. Need something with a hidden compartment. You put the weed in there.
Put your weed in it, man.
You put your weed in it, man. It's that shit. It's like, and it's gotten worse as I've gotten older. Like I was panicky as a kid. And then as a late teen and early 20s and even early 30s, like pretty solid, but about 35 it's like the nerves start fraying. Pushing 45 now, and the nerves are like literally look like old shoestrings at this point. But besides that, I can handle all the rigors of shoulder pain and all this other stuff. But I would not. I don't know about you. I would not want to go back to being 20. I would not want to go back. No.
Knowing what you know now, you wouldn't want to go back.
Okay. But see, I'm talking with no hypotheticals, because if you go back to 20, in my mind, you just go back to 20. Like if I could rewind the clock and body wise be 20, but mentally be 43 going on 44, sure. But that sounds like a pipe dream, of course. But then it's like, what situation are you going back to? Like I don't want to go back to like I'm happiest with the now. Like family set. Me and my wife are definitely best friends, and everything is definitely just easy for the most part between us.
That's cool.
But it's not easy with kids. It's not easy with work. It's not easy with bills. Like I had plans for this paycheck. I live paycheck to paycheck, and I had plans.
We all do.
Yeah, like I'm switching it up this paycheck. I'm like, okay, normally I allocate this to this and that to that and that to that, and then like one of my paychecks is just like 75% to the mortgage. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to start splitting that mortgage in half, and like, leave an X amount per check for the mortgage, and just not have to worry about one big mortgage payment out of a check. And,
do you handle the finances for the most part, or do you split it?
Let's see. As far as like paying the bills, I'm an auto pay person. So every single thing I can put on auto pay is on auto pay. Yeah. I don't like to forget. I don't like being late. I don't want any of that shit. I don't care about having money. I care about everything being paid. My credit staying top tier. That's something you start to worry about when you're pushing 40. You're like, man, like
credit scores.
Yeah. Like fucking every morning it's like, Credit Karma. What's going on? Even though it's not accurate. It's somewhat accurate, I guess, but it's not perfect. But
ballpark.
But you being in New York, you know what cold feels like. I'm in Ohio, and it's fucking cold, and my wife is definitely somebody that hates to be cold. And
my wife was just complaining about that. She brought my kid to the gym today. We got him started doing like MMA stuff, which is hilarious. But she brought him to the gym, and she walked in, and we had some flurries last night. We got a dusting, and it's been
us too.
It's been maybe like 20 degrees for the past like 4 days. Like I don't think we've gotten out of the 20s at all. It's been like teens to 20s, and she walked in. She's like, "I hate the winter. I hate the snow. I hate the cold." And I'm like, we live in New York. Like what?
Yeah, nothing
what are you
we can
do?
Nothing we can do about it. And that's us too. It's same exact situation. Been in the 20s. It has been one of the snowiest winters in recent memory. And it sucks. And then all my plans with my bills got shot to hell because my electric bill. Now, listen, I know you're in New York and everything's probably more expensive, but here in Southern Ohio, shit is not exactly. I can't complain too much, but the electric bill hit and it was like $640. And I was like, son of a bitch.
$640?
$640.
Damn.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'm not thinking that everything's cheaper here, but normally a normal electric bill for us is like Maybe like a couple hundred in the summer months, and then the winter months hit, and it's like 350, sometimes 4.
That's about where I'm at usually. Yeah.
Yeah. So this 640 hits me, and I'm like, well, there goes my fucking plans, and that's just
what the hell happened. Did you try and figure it out, or was it just like a rate thing that changed?
I don't think there was any figuring it out, so to speak. Like this last month, January, and I think this was for January mostly. We had a foot of snow in January. Like literally couldn't drive my car. Well, I couldn't drive either one of my work cars for like 2 weeks, and I finally got one dug out. And one dug out, one would not come out. It was just a pain in the ass. I had to walk up and down my football field long driveway every morning, every night, because I had to park at the bottom. Couldn't get back up once I got it out. And it was just that. It's like the extreme cold and the heater having the fight against the extreme cold, and then there's this shack that I'm in right now, which I have a pretty large heater,
space heater, right?
It's kind of cool actually. This little
you got that
this
long...
shack of mine, that thing. Yeah. So I've got this wall mounted, heater, and of course, it's an energy eater,
it's hungry.
Yeah, and this space is kind of shared. Like my wife comes out here and listens to podcasts, and like it's an escape room basically from the kids and the life, and and when we need peace and quiet, it's also completely sound treated, so it's so deafeningly quiet in here, no matter what's going on. Yes, like it almost drives you nuts sometimes. So, and we've been heating this a lot, and it's just like, this winter has been extra cold, extra snowy. And it's kicking our ass as far as the electric bill goes. And I was just like, fuck, man. And to say I live paycheck to paycheck, definitely true. But of course we live stupid too. Like we don't buy a bunch of stuff, but like if we want to fucking eat out, we eat out. If we want to go to Sam's Club and drop a couple $100 on fucking drinks, toilet paper, and paper towels alone, that's what happens. So, we still have to live.
You're not like, worried about covering anything. Like you're, would you say?
We try to keep some kind of cushion, to make sure. And when I say cushion, it's not much of one. Like when we get below $1,000 in the checking, we're like, shit,
Yeah.
But then
I'm there every month. I know.
Yeah. Like, and that's took years to get to that point. But at the same time, I've got one credit card that needs some fucking attention.
Yeah. Same here.
But just one. It used to be more than one. So it's it's a struggle. It's like you start getting ahead and you start feeling better about things, and then you get hit with a couple expenses, this, that, and the other.
Or inflation goes up, ridiculous, and grocery
my wife's
prices
a home
double.
Baker. Eggs are $500 a dozen.
It's funny. I don't know if I should divulge this, but the place that
we say what we want.
The place that I go for, there's two stores that I go for groceries. There's one that's like it's like a dairy store, I guess you could call it. Like they do a lot of, I don't know, they have their own growers and farms and stuff that they have. So like the milk is like half the price it is at like the regular grocery store.
Oh, wow.
I've been paying $4.65 for a dozen eggs forever. They're free range, like jumbo eggs. They're still $4.65. Wow. Any other grocery store I go to, they're like $10, $11 for a dozen. Like it's some ridiculous price like that.
See, I guess I can't bitch much. So they're like $5.85, $5.95 here right now for a dozen.
Yeah. Almost every grocery store I've seen, it's like $10 and up for a dozen.
See, here when there's no, I guess over the last year they've went up and down really hardcore, but like as long ago as 2023, like a dozen eggs were like $1.60.
Damn.
Like, yeah. And, but not anymore. I don't know when they'll go back down, but yeah, the people bitching in our area are bitching about $5.50, $6 a dozen. Damn, like that's what's pissing them off. So,
I've seen like over 12 in California. It's
no way I could live somewhere like that. Like,
California's so expensive.
And why?
I don't know. And I mean, the weather is nice, but like you got wildfires every 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
There's water shortages every day. There's,
couldn't pay me to live there.
The ever looming threat of an earthquake that's going to literally swallow you and your entire neighborhood up at any moment. Like, man, and the people, don't even get me started on that. Being from New York, I'm used to people being rude and obnoxious and everything else. Not really, but we get that type of stereotype associated with us.
Yeah.
But, man, over there, everybody's just like, "Hi, how are you today?" It's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. I can't handle either or, honestly. I'm like in that middle America that's just like, you encounter some douchebags, you encounter some people that love small talk way too much, and I hate small talk. I'm just kind of in the middle. I'm like, anybody I pass that gives me a nod, I'm like, that's my person right there. Just a simple nod and acknowledgement of like kindness, but we don't have to overdo it or underdo it in any way. Like just a little
don't
nod.
even need words. Just
don't even need words. Just a little nod or
Yep.
a little, how you doing? Just calm. How you doing?
What's up?
Yeah. Yeah. Something simple and casual. And, I used to hate Ohio. Like I moved to Las Vegas when I was 20 and thought like, I'm done with Ohio. I'm done with my hometown. Like I'm going to Vegas. I'm never coming back. Fucking 8 months later.
Just that didn't work out too well.
Yeah. 8 months later, I was like, I miss home. And then I got home and the appreciation for where I lived was immense, besides all the fucking red hats I see everywhere.
So how you think Bronson's doing though?
I think he's okay.
He's got it under control.
Yeah, I mean he's a smart guy, and I'd say him and his wife are doing pretty good. I haven't got much out of him. Like, I just sent him a message yesterday because it's been a while. It's been a week or 2 weeks, or I don't even know. I'm terrible with keeping track of time. Another thing you can look forward to in your 40s if you haven't hit them yet. Time just fucking disappears. But yeah, I messaged him just to be like, hope you're doing well, because I know he's busy and I know shit's crazy. And he responded, and then I sent him another one, and it took him a day to respond, and so on and so forth. But that's kind of always been the way me and Bronson have communicated. Okay. Like, I've told him multiple times. Anybody who apologizes to me, like, oh man, I'm sorry that you sent that message like 7 days ago, and I'm just like, dude, I don't care. That's why texting is awesome. Like, you don't have to respond until you want to respond, and I will never be offended. So, I mean, from what I could tell from our very short conversation, I think it's a bit of a culture shock, but at the same time, he saw that coming. Like,
you
don't have a kid on the way and just think like, I got this shit. You're like, okay, this is gonna be a new learning curve. This is gonna be different.
Yeah. Wonder if he's getting sleep. Speaking of which, I mean, my first kid didn't sleep until he was 7. I think.
Dude, I got lucky. My first kid slept just fine. Me and my wife's first together, my second kid slept just fine. It was the third. My youngest was the one that it's like that was pure hell for 2 years. 2 long years of my wife crying in a recliner because he wouldn't go to sleep, and it'd be 4:00 in the morning.
My older guy, he had night terrors until he was like 7 years old or something like that. Did
you take him to an apostolic church?
No.
Okay. Just want to make sure, because that'll do it.
Yeah. No, we had, I don't know if you want a story about that, but man, whatever. That was the freakiest thing I've ever experienced in my life.
I need a story about that then, because if you're talking freaky or odd or, abnormal, bring it on.
So, as I said, from the time he was born until he was about 7, it was there's 4 years difference between my oldest and my youngest. And my younger guy was around 2 when everything stopped, basically, or when it like really like tapered off. But every night the kid would scream, and it wasn't like your typical baby scream that I'm hungry, I'm wet, I'm whatever it is.
Blood curdling.
This was a horrifying scream. Like you don't want to hear a kid scream like that. Like, you know, something is wrong. We wound up taking him to doctors, and we're like, what's going on? They're just like, hey, you know, it happens. Some kids get it, whatever. And, you know, they grow out of it. And we were like, all right, fine. That was like the first year. The second and third year go by and nothing has changed. And we literally, like, we can't sleep because, like, the first year of his life, like, we were all in the same room together. We were living in a 1-bedroom apartment. There was no getting away from it.
Yeah.
We were actually contemplating putting him like in the living room or something just to get him out of the room and
in the tub.
Yeah, you know, something. But you know, we moved into the new house and we thought, all right, you know, he's gonna have his own room. Hopefully, you know, he'll, you know, chill out or whatever. No such luck. Every night, just as soon as like he would hit this certain place in his sleep cycle and the screaming would start. Yeah. And the screaming would start and it would be crazy and everything. So I started getting freaked out more and more by it because like it was just weird. And he's always been very articulate with his speech. And when he started speaking, he went from like mama, dad to full sentences with like in a course of a week. It was wild. And he always has like this old kind of persona about him. Like when you talk to him, it's not like talking to a little kid. Like he talks to you like an adult.
How old is he now?
He's going to be 11 next week.
Okay. I was about to say, like, man, my 8-year-old, that is him. He has a very articulate way of speaking. Like, even though we're from Southern Ohio, he has no accent hardly. Mm-hmm. And everything is like, you know, hey, Connor, did you get your homework done? Our kids are very
similar, by the way. Like, I've seen some of the videos that you've done with the kids. Like, your older one and younger one are almost mirrors of my older one and younger one. Like, it's wild.
That is pretty crazy. Now I want to see your kids in action. But like my 8-year-old literally like, hey, Connor, did you get your homework done? Yes. You know, and it's never like, yep, or yeah, it's always yes. And then like, you know, it's time to get in the shower. Okay, could you grab me a washcloth and I need this and I need, you know, it's very like,
that's my son.
It's like talking to a little adult.
Yep.
And he's, you know, he doesn't interact the same way other kids interact. Yeah. You know, but then there's always moments, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like he'll show me funny videos and he'll be cackling and saying goofy stuff. But you know, when it's serious, shit's serious, you know. It's like having another adult in the room. And
and so I got to thinking like, all right, like he's articulate enough that he can like maybe tell me what's going on. So he would have these episodes at night and he, you know, I would go in and I would try to wake him, even though the doctor told us not to do that. And I just want him to stop screaming because like I need sleep. He needs sleep. You know, everybody was just at each other's throats. I mean, it was a real rough, like everybody was just completely on edge 24/7 because of this, because nobody was sleeping. And so I would go in and I would gently try to wake him up and everything. And, you know, what's going on? What do you remember? He can't remember anything. Like, has no memory of it happening. He has no anything. Until one day he did. And this is where things got really weird. So we would read to him at night. Like, he would either sit in our bed and, you know, we'd go and read a book and, you know, whatever. And then he would go into his bed. And my wife went up with him one day and she's in his bedroom sitting on there reading a book. And he turns to her and he says, did you know that like I was in a bubble before I was born? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, when I was alive before, like I was in a bubble and then I came to you. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, and bear in mind, the kid was 3, I think, when he's telling us this. And what I'm going to tell you later, keep that in mind, that the kid's 3.
Okay.
He's never seen a horror movie before. He was not allowed to use YouTube. He was not allowed to watch anything except for like Thomas the Tank Engine in like some other like, kid show or something like that.
Yeah.
No Coco Melon, no any of that, no Blippy or anything. We tried to keep him as isolated from that kind of stuff as possible.
Well, especially with what you're dealing with. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that was the other thing too. Like we would stop him like from watching TV or anything before, and he didn't watch a lot of TV anyway, but no screens or anything before bed, just to try and calm him down, make sure like everything's cool. So my wife calls me up and she's like, he's talking about some weird stuff. I was like, okay. So sit down with him. What do you like? What's going on? What do you mean? He's like, well, I was another boy before I am now. Okay. And he goes, well, I used to live on a farm. And one day this man picked me up and we went someplace, and that's when I died. And we're like, okay, this is getting real freaky. 3-year-old kid then proceeds to explain, and I always get choked up telling this story because it still freaks me out to this day. 3-year-old explains to me in gory detail of how he was dismembered and explained how that felt and what he was able to see when that was happening. The implement used to take his limbs off, and it was horrifying, like, to hear this. And he said, and then the last thing that happened was that he hit me with the knife again. He basically described the machete, but he had no idea what it was actually called.
Yeah.
And he said once that last one went, he said I went into a bubble, and I was just kind of like floating around, and then I went into mommy's belly, and then I'm here. I've never been so freaked out having a 3-year-old explain being cut limb from limb and explaining the pain. And now I know where these night terrors are. Like, he's reliving this thing like every night, and like this crazy thing is happening. He even went so far, like he gave us a year that this happened, like whereabouts it happened, like, it's just absolutely wild. And we thought he was making it up or whatever.
3, that's a lot to make up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where there's smoke, there's fire,
Yeah. It was
did he know how old he was?
He was a teenager.
Wow.
I think he was like 13, 14, something like that. But it was like, I think it was like 1863. Like, he gave us a year, and we thought like, all right, he doesn't even know what year it is now. Like, how does he know it was We waited a couple days, and then we tried to talk to him again about it. Not only did he perfectly retell the tale in all its glory, but the years, dates, like the names, like what he didn't give names, but I wish he did give names, because I would have loved to have looked this up and seen if like this was an actual thing or something. But dates that he gave and locations and everything, like everything was exactly the same when he told it again. And I was just like, my wife was in tears. Like, I was trying to hold it back, and I was just, okay, buddy, like, we're good here. That's not going to happen to you here.
Yeah,
So,
man.
you don't have to worry about that kind of thing. But I got to tell you, after he explained that to us, some of the night terrors actually started to stop.
Yeah.
And like, we started getting a couple of nights where we slept, and it was like, oh shit, yeah, good. And then it just gradually tapered off, and he doesn't remember any of it now. He has no memory of telling us that story or anything. He keeps asking, he's like, oh, what did I tell you? And I was like, I'll let you know when you're 21.
Yeah. Why bring that back? Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So,
if he's moved past it, like, yeah, dude, it just,
how freaky is that?
it's super freaky, but it just, like, none of us can ever claim to know for sure how anything happens or how anything works, but like, that instantly, philosophical bark coming here. That instantly makes me think, like, if you die before a certain age, it's almost like this wasn't
you get
fair.
a do-over.
Yeah. I mean, because what child or teenager or even 20-some-year-old kid in a car accident, like how is, it's almost too tragic to be able to accept. And like, if there is a higher power and and is truly kind, like, yeah, but then how do they know they're getting a second chance unless they have night terrors and remember that stuff, which is also like damaging in itself, I guess. But man, it just makes you think. Like it really makes you think. Like that's just wild stuff, man. Because you can't discount that. You can't discredit it and just be like, not possible.
For a 3-year-old. Like if he told me that now, like I would be like, yeah, you full of shit. Like whatever,
Oh yeah,
you're making this up. Whatever.
Sure, but yeah, as a 3-year-old with doesn't even know how to be manipulative yet, doesn't even know how to come up with a tall tale like that, and that hasn't even been introduced to death.
Yeah, well,
murder, knives.
Yeah, the whole description of like how he was telling like, where he got cut and how he saw his arm laying on the ground. Like it was, I mean, you want to talk about gory detail. Like it was all there. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
And
that's I'd say you were fucking heartbroken listening to that. Because like no matter what, that's your kid sitting in front of you telling you what he feels and felt and remembers. It's like, damn.
Yeah. And it's again,
welcome to parenthood. Not everyone will go through. Bronson, you'll probably be okay. You're probably not going to have to go through what Pags went through. Jesus, man.
So you have anything like that? Not many people that I've met have had that kind of an experience. And my little guy, like he's so much different on so many different levels than my older son. As I said, my older son's like it's like an old man, like you talk to. My younger kid is just a kid.
Mine are flipped. My 11-year-old's just a kid. He's like, he still has trouble with things that he should definitely know better than to do by this point, and just silly stuff. But my 8-year-old's like, he's the little dude. He's just he wakes up and puts his pants on and his shirt on, and he's throws his glasses on, and he's ready to tackle the day. The only like just to add the only freaky instances in my life, like I have 2 instances that I can remember that were quite freaky. Has nothing to do with my kids, but me and my buddy, my best friend at the time growing up, his name was Chris. I think we were in our late teens, and we would go out on a 4-wheeler like 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he lived out in the country. Yeah, this is Ohio. So we'd go out on the 4-wheeler 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Just why not? Whatever. I mean, we built a tree house that took us from 6th grade up to freshman year. Wow. Like we couldn't give up on it because it had walkways in the trees, like Ewok style shit, man. And that's awesome. That's first place we both got hammered. We bought Natty Light and went up into that treehouse and just got fucking wasted. But we were riding a 4-wheeler in the back of the woods, and there was like an old shanty, like an old shed, and it was like the wood was so old and you could kind of see through it. And why, or I can't explain it to this day, but like we rode by it and we stopped. And this was not a livable shed. It was getting ready to fall in on itself. Every board was gapped, and the whole thing lit up fucking red. And red light shined out of every fucking board.
What?
Like, yeah. I don't know what happened. We got scared. He gassed it. We flew the fuck out of there. Like There was no noise. It just started glowing red from the inside out.
So no inspection or anything. You just fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah, no. Like, we may be from, we're not that stupid.
Damn.
So, but when I was younger, maybe 10, and this was when I was having panic attacks. So it could be related to panic attacks or just a psyche issue or mental issue of some kind, but everything was fine besides occasional panic attacks. Like I would wake up and like every noise was amplified. Like my arm dragging across my sheet was like, just amplified. And like I woke up and heard noises one night, and I heard like laughing and like yelling and and lo and behold, like I'm sitting up just scared, and the noises aren't stopping. They're not going away. Like I'm awake. I'm not asleep. Like I get up, I walk into the living room and walk back into my room. And when I get back in my room, the noises resume. And an evil fucking clown appeared in my window. Like,
get the fuck out of here. Really?
Maybe it was people playing a prank. I don't know. I was young, but I'll never forget it. You know, just like it was the scariest.
Were you still friends with that guy
thing.
That you were,
I was 10 at this time. I didn't know that guy.
Okay. Oh,
like when we rode that 4-wheeler back in the woods, we were like somewhere between 16 and 18 probably.
Okay.
The wicked clown, the fucking, juggalo that visited me at 10 years old, which was not just a typical clown. It was like demonic looking, and that could have been, worse than it, but that could have been, it could have been something from the terrible damage the apostolic church had done to my brain. I don't know, but I'll never forget it. I still don't know if it was real or not, but it was plenty fucking real when I was 10.
Did you ever watch Killer Clowns from Outer Space when you were younger?
No, and I didn't watch scary stuff growing up, and I still don't like scary stuff really. I'm not really just not a fan. I like psychologically scary stuff, like
Silence of the Lambs kind of thing.
Yeah, The Conjuring, stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Like I kind of want to watch that new Hugh Grant movie Heretic. Like if it's like disturbing on a spiritual or religious level, or like just I don't like jump scare shit and I don't like gore. But if it's like psychologically fucked up, I'm all in.
Exorcist kind of.
Yeah, Exorcist was great. But yeah, Wicked Clown and the Red Building, for some reason, those things will always stand out to me. But what you're talking about is on a whole different level than just freaky things that you have seen or heard. Like that is, I won't forget that story because that's intense.
It's so weird. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, I 100% believe every word he said, without even hearing the story from him. Like that, there's just no explanation for that other than, he had an
experience.
He had an experience, whether it was him in a past life or whether it was something channeling through to him from somewhere else. He had some kind of experience,
dream or something like that. Yeah. That's just wild. How'd you deal with the panic stuff? Like, was it because I was having,
I grew out of it.
Yeah. I never had panic things as a kid. I was lucky. I never really had any kind of social emotional issues or anything like that for the most part until like I hit around 40. And then like, like for me, like mortality became like a stopping point, and I couldn't sleep at night. I was like,
it really is. I mean, anybody who doesn't worry about it, like, cause we look in the mirror and we're like, shit, man, this is, I'll be thrilled if I'm at the halfway point. If I can get to my 80s, I'll be thrilled.
Right.
And I don't know about you, but yeah, definitely hitting 40 was a mortality issue for me too. Cause I'm terrified, or I should say I'm terrified of death in a lot of different ways. Like it's not manifested now the way it was manifested 4 years ago when I was 40. When I was 40, I just worried about it all the fucking time. Like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
I literally could not sleep at night because I was just like, it was to the point where like I didn't want to sleep on my back because I thought I would like swallow my own tongue, and then I didn't want to sleep on my side because maybe I was putting too much pressure on my heart. Like I was just like, shit, man, like what's gonna happen here? And man, I got freaked out like so bad, and I didn't know what to do about it, and I started like, I'm not a person that goes and would take meds or anything like that. Like I'll go and talk to somebody. I would see like a shrink or a therapist or something. I don't have any problem with that. I didn't do that, but
no, me neither.
Yeah, I did find a way around it though, and it was quite interesting.
I'm interested to. Yeah, what was your way around it?
So I did a lot of research on it, and trying to find causes for anxiety, and like maybe if I know what's going on, like I can deal with it in some kind of way or whatever. And you definitely look at things when you get older in a more analytic kind of way. When you're a kid, something's wrong, you're just like, fuck it, whatever,
Yep.
and let somebody else deal with it. But I started doing a lot of research, and I started looking at some of the studies that were going on for like psilocybin therapy. And
I've got a few friends that swear by microdosing.
Let me tell you, I'd never done a drug in my life. Like, I've never smoked a cigarette, never smoked pot, no hard drugs, nothing. Like, I got drunk a bunch of times, whatever. Like, that was the only thing that I ever did that was, like, crazy. And I had a buddy of mine that was very into the experimental thing.
Yeah.
And he's, I said to him, I said, you know, I know that, you know, you have access to these things and whatever. And, you know, what do you think of this? And he's like, I think it's a great idea. I think you should try it. And, you know, what's the worst that's going to happen? I was like, well, what is the worst that's going to happen? Because I had no idea.
Me,
like, you know, and man, did we make a mistake. So have you ever done mushrooms?
No. So I'm very much in line with what you're saying. Like, I've never really done a drug. I had a moment where I can't even tell you what kind it was, but I had like a speed thing for a minute. And by speed, I just mean, I don't know if they were like yellow jackets or if they were prescription. Like I know I was having problems sleeping in my late teens, and a buddy at school had given me a pill. He's like, this will keep you awake. And I had like a run of like 2 or 3 weeks where I probably shouldn't have been taking those. And I had a moment where I was like, I have to quit taking these. But besides that, you know, I drank pretty heavy until I was in my 20s, like 22. I got it out of my system for the most part. Okay. I haven't always, but I think marijuana is a hell of a drug. It's a wonderful thing. I think more people need to do it. You know, it's not.
Now that it's legalized, it's you know, the stigma behind it has definitely waned.
And that's not to say that I'm, you know, whatever. It's not to say that I'm smoking it up all the time. I'm just fully in line with the fact that it is. Alcohol is so much worse. Like so much worse. Like, but I've never done mushrooms. I've never done any hard drugs. I was always that guy that thought like, oh, if I do coke once, I'll be the guy that dies. You know, if I do mushrooms,
I had the same exact thing.
Yeah, and I'll never do anything like that because of the apostolic church and the panic attacks and the this and that, and my mind goes to dark places anyways. I'm not doing anything that could potentially be a bad trip. No. Yeah. Just no.
That's basically what happened to me.
No thanks.
So he got the stuff, and I went to his apartment because I wanted to kind of be away from the house and the kids and everything else. And he's like, look, this is going to take about 6-8 hours. And I was like, okay. And
just mushrooms?
Yeah. So, and I said, well, what happens after that? He goes, well, you know, you come off of it and, you know, everything's back to normal. He goes, you're going to be in a very weird place for a while. And, you know, you gradually come down off of it. He goes, basically it's food poisoning. And like, you know, your brain goes through all this weird, you know, whatever. I said, okay. I have a horrible gag reflex. Like I jokingly, and no offense to anybody, but I would make a terrible gay man. Like it just wouldn't work for me. But like, I can't even get a tongue depressor at the doctor without almost throwing up on him.
Yeah.
So I said to him, look, I got a bad gag reflex. You know, I got stomach issues, the whole nine, whatever. And, you know, again, getting old. So I said, you know, is there any way that we could do this in a way that it would go down easier or whatever? He goes, yeah, you know what? He goes, let's, you know, go down to the deli, go grab his apartment was in Brooklyn. So there's like a bodega at the corner, like, you know, drinks and, you know, bags of chips and everything. So I go down there and I'm looking, I'm like, let me grab a thing of orange juice. You know, I like orange juice. I didn't know that you don't put mushrooms into orange juice.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a great idea.
So apparently the acid in the orange juice like magnifies the the psilocybin, like the active components in the mushrooms. We had no idea. So what he did was he took the orange juice, threw it in a blender, and put like like a whole mushroom in the thing and just ground it up till it was like this paste. And he's like, okay, here you go.
Yeah. Have a mushroom orange smoothie.
Yeah. So, I was like, okay, and it tasted awful, but like I pounded it. Like I just like, right down. And I sat down on his couch and I looked over, I said, so how long does this, oh my God, it literally hit instantly. Like there was no like ramp up to it. I went from being in his couch, like being on his couch, like sitting there, to just seeing like his walls turn into like paisley. And it was just like spinning wheels and things. I looked out the window and I like saw the Taj Mahal. It was the craziest shit ever. But I gotta tell you, as bad as it was, the whole thing, it definitely changes your brain chemistry. Because when I came out of that experience, as crazy as things were, that anxiety was gone. I slept like a baby that night. I had no worries in the world. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And
yeah,
I'm here for the ride. And when it's over, it's over. There's nothing I can do about it. And for whatever reason, like that experience just completely crushed that anxiety for me. And I've been good since, which is kind of crazy. And to this day, I still think that I'm on that trip still. Because when I did that was like 2 weeks before the pandemic broke out. And like the whole time I was thinking, I gotta still be on this trip.
Yeah.
Like, this can't be real. This shit is not happening.
Now we got a fucking orange dude trying to tear down our whole fabric of democracy. Like, I'm still on the trip.
I blame that on the orange juice. I was like, oh my God, this guy's orange. That's the orange juice. This is like, this is really happening.
Yep. You manifested this bastard into our lives for good. Damn.
It's all my fault. I take responsibility.
You didn't know. It's fine. Yeah, well, whatever it takes, man. Like I got over the whole mortality thing mostly. I just have this, I have this one thing. Like I went from just terrified of dying because I knew I was pushing 40. And I knew like, shit's going by faster than I expected it to. Like what they tell you
keeps
when you're
going
a kid,
faster too.
Yeah, and it keeps going faster. Like what they tell you as a kid is true. Like enjoy it, soak it in.
Yep.
Like, when you're 20, you don't think you'll ever be 40. When you're 30, you think, I still got a long time till I'm 40. Then you're 40 and you're like, okay, everything's going downhill real quick. Yeah. Like I'm going to be 60 and it's going to be before I fucking know it. And then hopefully I get to be 80, hopefully I get to be whatever. Hopefully I get to be 90. Hopefully I get to, but at the same time, the whole fear of it all, like I just settled into it. Like I kind of settled in. I was like, listen, I can't do anything about it. It's going to happen. Yeah. There's nothing that can be done. I just want to see my kids grow up. I don't care about anything else. Nothing else matters. Like, of course I want I do not want my wife to go before me, which is, selfish.
But at the same time, it's like, you don't want
Yeah. Like
or go together, I don't know.
Yeah. Like the perfect scenario, honestly, is like, I'm 90, she's pushing 90. Our kids are, 60,
grown up
whatever.
Out of the house. They got their own grandkids.
Yeah. And then the asteroid hits out of nowhere and we don't see it coming, don't know nothing about it. That's the true hope for, maybe the asteroid just hits us. I can't hope it hits everybody else, but yeah, it's just, it is what it is. It's whatever, but I'll be damned if like every time I hit the road in the car, I am about as observant as I can be. Every time I walk into a concert, I am as observant, I'm always on alert, not in a terrible way. Just like if I'm paying attention, I can get out of just about anything. If I'm paying attention.
Situational
awareness for sure. And it's gotten to the point to where like my drive is 50 minutes to work and it's not a great drive. Like the roads were icy yesterday and I have a certain highway, like half of my stretch of highway to work, like huge fucking hills, like mountainous hills, and my car started slowing down going up one because it was icy.
Geez.
And I'm like, fuck, I can't go backwards. I can't dead stop. Semis on every, it's a fucking busy ass highway. You're from New York. You know how that shit goes.
Yeah.
But add hills, add massive hills and ice and snow and, scares the shit out of me, man. Like, I want to switch jobs just to get off of that highway because it has gotten busier and worse every year that I've been alive. And it's just like, at this point, if I could just work remote and barely only leave when I need to, like, I am definitely at that point where I'm final destination is in my mind. Like, a log can fall off this truck at any moment. I need to be ready to swerve.
I won't drive behind log trucks or anything like I try to stay away from that too, man.
I'm very alert and aware, and I'm like, anything that can keep me alive to see my kids become adults and for my kids to be able to handle when I eventually have to go, because now it's like if somebody I know, passes away, like my grandpa, I don't think he's passed away yet. He's in hospice, I believe. And I went and saw him, but before he went to hospice, but like when he passes away, like truth be told, like I'm not going to have much feelings about it. He's 90. Like he lived, he's 90, and just like, and most people that hit that, like they're very ready by the time that happens. Like there's a calm and a peace and
so my wife's grandmother, she passed like maybe 5-6 years ago now, I think. And she was completely ready. Like she was 91 or 92 or something like that when she went. And she sat down with her kid. I mean, she's got like 400 kids, but my wife is like one of 27 grandchildren or something on her mother's side. Yeah, it's absolutely insane. But she sat them down and she's just like, you don't understand. Like, this is fine. Like her husband passed away like 20 years prior. So, she had kind of been alone. And she sat him down. She's like, you don't understand. Like when you're at this point in your life, you not only accept it, but you expect it and you're cool with it. She kind of was just like, I'm ready. Like, I'm fine with this. Like, there's nothing I have left to do. Like my kids are grown. I have grandkids. I have great grandkids, and it's something that I think happens to, when you get to be that age, like there's an understanding at that point that, you get to.
Yeah. And a comfort and hopefully just being able to foresee that it's going to be easier after that. Maybe. My only fear is like of nothingness. I don't fear hell, or anything like that. There's no fear of God in me in that aspect. 'Cause like, I know that I try my best to just be accepting and kind. And to me, there's no other, again, sorry, churchgoers, piss on a book that tells you how to live. Like you either have a good heart and you want to be kind to people or you don't. It's cut and dry. There's no rule book. You shouldn't have to follow a damn rule book. It doesn't make any sense. None of that makes any sense. Nope. Imagine going to hell and you like lived your life helping people and caring about people and having empathy. And imagine going to hell. Like if that's where I end up, then okay, well, this was flawed. This whole system was about as flawed as it can get.
Yeah, but I can't see that being any sort of reality. I mean, I hope that I hope my kid got it right, and you just get to float around in a bubble for 100 years or whatever, and then you come back where after all the shit is settled and all of this stupid stuff that we're dealing with right now is long gone, and you get to try it again, and maybe you do something different next time. But
maybe I wouldn't want to see. That's the weird thing, though. I wouldn't want to lose myself in that process. You know what I mean? Like.
Maybe you reinvent yourself and,
Well, yeah, but if you don't have a memory of, like he had a memory of it, obviously, but I don't think everyone would,
But, again, he doesn't have a memory of it now. So like he's turned into his new self and, that he is who he is. I mean, he's my freaking clone. It's frightening, but
yeah. Well, I just tell my wife all the time, I'm like, can I not podcast that in the afterlife? Like, that's not cool. Like, do I get to do the things that I enjoyed doing while I was here? Because like I'd like to. I don't want to lose who I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens. Like, do you lose who you were, or am I just podcasting to nobody to have all the equipment there? And I'm like, or maybe God jams it every once in a while. Like, hey, you and Pags are doing good. This is solid stuff you guys are doing. Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a guest on tonight, the big man himself.
Yeah. JC, have a seat, brother. Yeah.
How you been? Hey, tell us about those Beatitude things that everybody forgot about.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, I don't know about you, but yeah.
This has been fun.
It has. Yeah. This is a good start. I don't know what we're doing with it. I don't know if we're going to plan on doing more or whatever, but
dude, I'm totally down. If you're, if you want to do something, absolutely.
But I'm totally, yeah, it's fun. And it's, you start talking about this shit and it just flows, and it just, yeah. I never expected a freaky story like that tonight, but I'm glad I got one.
Hey, I got plenty more if you want.
I'll be ready for him. Yeah.
I got some stories from the road that you would not believe.
Oh yeah. I've been wanting those too, because we talked about that when we did the creator connection thing.
Oh yeah.
I want that shit. I need, that's what I'm all about right there.
That'll be next time. Because let me tell you, you want to talk about freaky coincidences and like shit that you would never think could possibly happen in a million years. I got a great one for that. So
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah. Cool, man. All right.
Bookmark it.
Absolutely.